All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we are unpacking the process behind personal change, and we're going to kick things off with a mystery. Not a true crime story or some lost ancient civilization, but a mystery about who you really are. It starts with a thought experiment that might seem super simple at first glance, but man, it gets deeply complicated the longer you sit with it. What if the person you were 10 years ago is no longer you? Seriously, I want you to genuinely picture yourself exactly a decade ago. Think about that past person's face. Remember their biggest dreams, their deepest fears, the stuff that kept them awake at night. You probably feel deeply connected to them, right? But if you could somehow step into a time machine and meet them today, would they even recognize you? Or would you just be a familiar stranger to them?
Section 1. The illusion of continuity. Let's start by looking at the physical changes. We walk around every single day feeling like we're just one solid, continuous being, right? From the day we're born to the day we reach old age. But the physical reality is entirely different. Over a matter of days, you experience these tiny, incremental shifts in your biology. Over months, we see massive cellular replacement. I mean, science tells us your body is in this constant, relentless state of turnover. Your skin, your bones, even parts of your brain are continually shedding old cells and generating brand new ones. And over the years, we see those slow, undeniable facial transformations. The biological material making up you today is largely not the same material that made up you a decade ago. You are, quite literally, physically replaced.
Section 2. Reconstructing your memories. So that's the physical side. But let's move on to the psychological clues.
You might be thinking, okay, sure, my cells change, but my memories of who I am, those stay exactly the same. That's my core. Well, actually, memory reconstruction is the process where the brain actively recreates a memory each time it is remembered rather than replaying a perfect recording. Your memory isn't just a fixed video file sitting securely on a hard drive in your head. Every single time you bring up a memory of your childhood, your brain is actively rebuilding that entire scene from scratch in real time. Have you ever realized a vivid childhood memory you hold dear isn't actually a memory of the event itself, but just a memory of a photograph your parents showed you? That is your brain seamlessly reconstructing the past.
Like a faded film, images shift and dissolve over time. Because you're reconstructing a memory every single time you access it, it gets slightly altered based on your current mood, your new beliefs, and, well, just the simple passage of time. The memory literally distorts. What you remember today about who you were 10 years ago is actually a newly painted picture, not a perfectly preserved photograph. So the you of the past is shifting even within your own mind.
Section 3. The identity paradox. So, which version is actually real? We've established that your physical body is constantly turning over, right? And we've seen that your psychological foundation, your precious memories, are always shifting and being rewritten. So if your body and your memories are always changing, which version is the real you? Are you the child you once were, that kid who loved certain toys, feared the dark, and had an entirely different set of cells and memories? Or are you the completely different person standing here today consuming this explainer? We use the exact same name for both of these people, but functionally, biologically, and psychologically, they are wildly different entities.
To help us wrap our heads around this puzzle of identity, let's look at one of the oldest thought experiments in philosophy. Imagine the famous ship of Theseus. You have this beautiful original wooden ship. Over years of sailing, boards start to rot, so you replace them. A mast snaps in a storm, you replace it. Eventually, over decades, every single wooden board, nail, and sail has been swapped out for a new one, until you have what is essentially a replaced futuristic vessel. The question is it still the same ship?
At what point does something stop being the same thing? If you take away a single plank, it's obviously still the ship. But if you take away all the planks over a long period of time, where does the original identity go? Now apply this to yourself. As your cells turn over and your memories rewrite themselves, at what exact point do you stop being the old you and become the new you? It completely destabilizes our static sense of self, doesn't it?
And these changes aren't just happening over decades either. They happen every single day in our social lives. Just look at your social identity. In the environment of your family, your exhibited personality might be quiet or dutiful. At work, you might be highly assertive and professional. With your friends, you might be loud and spontaneous. We become entirely different versions of ourselves depending on who we're with. So not only are you changing across time, you are actively fragmenting into different identities across your daily environments.
Section 4. The self as a process.
Let's see how we can resolve this tension.
Okay, before we experience a complete existential crisis here, we have to acknowledge a continuous thread. Despite the cellular turnover, the memory rewriting, and the social chameleon acts, something deep down still invariably feels like you. Why is that? Well, somewhere beneath all these changing physical, psychological, and social versions of yourself, there's a strange, undeniable feeling of being an experiencer. There is a core consciousness silently witnessing all of these changes. You might be an infinite chain of different versions of yourself over the years, but the awareness watching those versions feels like a steady, unbroken thread running right through the center of it all.
As the quote says, perhaps the self isn't a fixed object. Perhaps it is a process. You aren't a noun, my friends, you're a verb. You are not a static object that you can hold on to, put in a box, and say, this is exactly who I am forever. Instead, you're a continuous, unfolding process of becoming. And once you truly grasp that, it takes a massive amount of pressure off trying to find yourself and rightfully shifts the focus to creating yourself.
You are not the person you were 10 years ago, but you are their continuation. That past self is gone. Their cells are gone. Their exact mindset is gone. Their world is gone. But you are the ongoing continuation of that person. Shifting our perspective this way allows us to honor who we used to be without being trapped by them. We're no longer burdened by the limitations of who we were, and we definitely don't have to be paralyzed by the mystery of who we will become.
So, I want to leave you with this final provocative question to ponder as we wrap up our explainer today. Is the only version of you that truly exists the one experiencing this exact moment? If the past is just a reconstructed, faded memory, and the future hasn't even happened yet, then maybe all of this identity discussion boils down to the profound power of the present moment. The you that matters most is the one listening to my voice right now, taking in this information. Embrace the process of change. Thanks so much for joining me on this incredible journey through the self. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next one.